Okay, stand by. Sorry about this, I'm getting it set up. Let's see how this is working. There, that's better. Okay, it's the week 3 stats updates. Spokane Steve here with you. We've completed 3 weeks of the 1966 replay, and I thought I'd share some of the standings and stats, league leaders from the season so far from the Windows game. So we're going to bring the camera in closer now. I will have a game at 1 p.m. Pacific. That is Philadelphia at Atlanta. Jim Bunning and Clay Carroll will kick off week 4. Anyway, this is something that can be watched later, and I won't spend a lot of time on each stats page. You can pause it and look at the leaders at your leisure. So let's bring the camera in, and we'll take a look at it. My voice, not really great today, as I have to admit I'm a little hungover. Okay, we can kill that light. That's probably better. And this will get us, I remember what I did last time. I tilted this so it would be more straight on. All right. That should sort of work. Okay, let's see what we got. Let's start off with the National League standings. So we go to League Stats, expand it. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. Interestingly, it has the Pirates a half game behind the Dodgers, but as you can see, looking at percentage points, it's basically a wash. The surprising, or at least somewhat surprising, Astros 2 games back. The Phillies 2.5, the Giants 3, Cardinals 4, Braves, who will play today, are 5 back, as are the Reds, Cubs, and Mets 6.5 back. Interestingly, the Mets have only played 12 games, easily the fewest games played of any team. Oh, and I know what I wanted to bring up today. Someone was asking me about the All-Star selections for the All-Star game this year. And that's a ways off, over 2 months of games on the schedule. Excuse me. And we've only played 3 weeks. But anyway, they do have a thing here called awards voting. Let's take a look at that for the National League. It shows you what Hal has selected as the MVP and the Cy Young Award in each league. So right now, Koufax leading in both categories. Jimmy Wynn runner-up in the MVP. You've got Felipe Alou, Willie Mays, Willie McCovey. In the Cy Young, Marichal, Jaster, Gibson, and Sutton trail Koufax. But here's what I'm talking about here. Your all-star selections by position. So you've got the leading vote getter and the second vote getter. Torrey would be the catcher, McCarver the backup, for example, in this scenario. And then you have 12 pitchers. One thing I might do is get more relief pitchers in there. I'll open that up to feedback. Basically, what do you guys think? If we go down here to Fireman of the Year, they have that too, by the way. Top 5. You'd think that Face, Raymond, Wise, McCool, and Rybant probably should make the team. But yet under all-star pitchers, Face and Wise are present, the only 2 relievers. On the other hand, I've got to go look at the actual all-star game. It's my belief that in 1966 they didn't really have many or any relievers on the All-Star team. I think they basically used the best starters and just had them all pitch out of relief. So I'll look into that on the Baseball Reference in real life. So you can see the other leading vote getters. Another one that gets me is Menke at shortstop, Wills in second. Would you guys consider a 4E38 the All-Star shortstop? I'm not sure that I would. Johnson, Wynn, and Aaron, I don't have a problem with that. Allen at third, and he hasn't even played for a while. He'll be out in probably another week, so Jim Ray Hart will probably pass him by that point. But should we exclude Dick Allen based on that? See, I don't think so. The card, you guys have seen the card. It's mammoth. Morgan at second, I don't have a problem with, although a narrow lead over Glenn Beckert. I mean, that's something to think about. We'll look at the American League, too. Here's your leaders in the National League. Rico Carty, leading in batting at .417. Dick Allen at .404. Wynn, Beckert, Stargell, Bailey, etc. Like I say, this is something you could pause this and look at all of the names at your leisure. Felipe Alou has the most at bats. Aaron, Sonny Jackson, and Lanier are tied for second. Joe Morgan and Wes Parker tied for the lead in runs scored. Maury Wills 17, Jimmy Wynn 16. Several players with 14. Felipe Alou and Jimmy Wynn leading in hits. Lou Johnson with 11 doubles, easily leading the pack. Alou and Parker with 7. Felipe Alou with 5 triples already. That's impressive for 3 weeks of play. Hell, 3 is impressive. McCarver and Haller. 2 catchers. How about that? Any other catchers on that list? We've had some catchers triple, that's for sure. Here's the Triple Crown stats. Everybody wants to see this, is the home runs and RBIs. Willie Mays still leading with 7. And you've got Aaron, Wynn, Stargell, and McCovey all with 6. Dick Allen, Jim Ray Hart with 5. Darren Johnson, Bill White with 4. Sweet Lou Johnson leading the league in runs batted in. Jimmy Wynn 18, Bill White 17, Willie Mays 16, Torrey and Allen 15, etc. 2 Astros top the league in walks, Morgan and Wynn. Shouldn't be all that surprising, really. Those guys, both of them throughout their entire careers, were basically walking machines. McCovey's received 2 intentional walks. I don't issue a lot of intentional walks, as you know. Hit by pitch. Ron Hunt's in there, of course, but he's tied with Torrey, Johnson, and Hart. What else is interesting? Stolen bases. You've got Brock with 10 already. Maury Wills 8. Willie Davis with 5. Hitting streak, the longest in the season so far in the National League, was Felipe Alou's 16-game streak. The star, of course, indicates current streak, so Wills and Keene currently have 12-game hitting streaks, particularly impressive for Harvey Keene, who was a pinch hitter in a lot of those games. And there's the computer-only Kernick with a current 8-game hitting streak. That's pretty funny. Dick Allen leading in slugging. Rico Carty, Jim Wynn. Dick Allen leading in on-base. OPS, of course, one of my favorites. On-base plus slugging. You've got Dick Allen leading the league. Again, of course he should be on the All-Star team. Jimmy Wynn, Willie Stargell, Rico Carty, Willie McCovey, Willie Mays, and Tim McCarver, all over 1,000. Felipe Alou leading in total bases. You've got Mays and Wynn in the second and third spots. The lefty-righty, not as interesting. I'll pause it on that for a second. You can come back and look at that at your own pace if that interests you. There is no X percentage. Charlie Smith leads the league in errors with 6. Let's get to some of the pitching numbers now. Koufax leading in wins, with 5. Juan Marichal has 4. Quite a few pitchers have 3. Cloninger and Osteen, 4-game losers so far. In ERA, it's still Tommy Sisk of Pittsburgh, 1.21. Barry Latman, Larry Jaster, Bob Veal, and Don Sutton round out the top 5. Where is Koufax? 8th at 2.03. Everyone on the list impressive. I mean, you got Gibson, 2.12. Bolin, 2.45. Innings pitched, batters faced. Complete games, Koufax with 4. Gibson and Marichal with 3. Doesn't that just figure? Boy, that's the 3 you'd expect to see there. And remember, again, this is a small sample size, so you don't always expect it to work out that way. Roy Face leading in saves with 5. Marichal with 2 shutouts. I remember that last one. Faced the minimum. Boy, that was a great game. Strikeouts, another good one. Koufax, 48. Outdistances number 2, Bobby Bolin with 31. Bob Gibson, Don Sutton, and Jim Maloney round out the top 5. And some of these things are a little more esoteric. Pitcher's batting average, for example. Hits per 9 innings is interesting. Larry Jaster, that's crazy. 4.55 hits per 9 innings so far. Pappas doesn't walk anybody. There's walks per 9 innings there. Ks per 9, it's Maloney, ahead of Koufax. He just hasn't pitched as many innings. And the strikeout to walk, Pappas with an insane 11-1. He just doesn't walk anybody. I don't believe he has a ton of strikeouts. He just doesn't walk anybody. Okay, let's take a look at the American League now. Make that bigger. The Orioles with a half-game lead on the Twins and the Indians. The Tigers 3 out. Senators and Royals, both surprising 500 teams so far. And if you could look at their, off to the right here, you can see their actual season 1 loss, as well as their actual to-date 1 loss in real life. They're only 3.5 back. The Red Sox 4 back. White Sox 4.5. Angels 7. Angels 4-11, and they were 8-7 at this point in real life. Almost a 500 team, 80 and 82. They're certainly doing terribly. The Yankees, well, we kind of expected that. They had the worst record in the league that year in real life. Let's check those all-star things now, the awards voting. Sam McDowell leading the MVP and the Cy Young race. Rocky Colavito, second in MVP. You've got Jackie Warner, who will drop off. He's going to be injured soon and out for the rest of the year. Although I might still use him as a pinch hitter if needed due to the limited roster size. We'll see. How do you guys feel about that? You got a guy who hit a wall in May and was out for the season. Should he have a pinch hitting at bat in August, let's say, if I needed a card? Boog Powell, Al Kaline round out the leaders. McDowell, followed by Steve Barber, Denny McClain, Dave Boswell, and Mickey Lolich in the Cy Young balloting. And there's your all-star selections by position. John Romano at catcher, Powell at first, Richardson at second, Max Alvis at third, narrowly ahead of Brooks Robinson, Dick McAuliffe at short, Bleffery, Tartable, and Colavito in the outfield. That's reasonable. McDowell would be the starting pitcher. Fireman of the year, it's Larry Sherry, Jack Aker, Don McMahon, Dick Lyons, Frank Bertena. Now, if we look at the all-star pitchers, Sherry and Ken Sanders make the list. Sanders a reliever, but yet he's not mentioned in the top 5 firemen. I think the fireman's largely based on saves, though, so I'm sure Sanders has earned his spot by pitching well. I certainly don't have any issues with Ken Sanders on the all-star team. That would be, of course, if these were the numbers in July, just to get a glimpse of it. Here's the leaders now. Batting Colavito, 468. This guy has been on fire the entire season. Frank Robinson and Jose Tartable at 382. Jackie Warner and Kurt Blefary round out the top 5. Al Kaline still leading the league in runs scored. Colavito in hits narrowly over Frank Robinson, surprising Jerry Lumpy, and Tartable. Luis Aparicio, George Smith, and Max Alvis with 6 doubles. Jim Fregosi leading in triples with 3. And here's the glamour stats now. Jackie Warner leads the league in home runs with 7. Boog Powell, Rocky Colavito, 6 apiece. Don Mincher, 5, and many players have 4. RBIs, it's a 3-way tie. Kurt Blefary, Rocky Colavito, Al Kaline. Just behind them is Paul Blair, Frank Robinson, Jackie Warner, and Joe Pepitone. Dick McAuliffe still leading in walks, although Mantle's catching up. He had that 3 or 4 walk game just recently. Boog Powell's had 3 intentional walks. Tartable leading in stolen bases with his teammate Campanera second with 5. Stolen base percentage. OPS, Colavito towering over the major leagues with a 1436. Holy crap. Jackie Warner, Boog Powell, Frank Robinson, Kurt Blefary, Al Kaline, Don Mincher, Willie Horton, and John Romano, all over 1,000. Colavito leading at total bases, although not by as much as you would think, over second place Jackie Warner. That kind of surprised me. See, I'm seeing them for the first time, too. Ron Hansen still leading with his 6 errors. I don't think he's made one since week 2, though. Could be wrong about that. Pitching in wins, it's McDowell with 4, Barber, Lolich, McLean, and Mudcat Grant with 3, and many have 2. Mel Stottlemyre is the only 4-game loser. Sonny Siebert leads in ERA, 1.50. You've got Dave Boswell, Fred Talbot, John Buzzard, and Louis Tiant rounding out the top 5. And down there in the last spot, quite effective, Marcelino Lopez at 2.77. So anyone making this list at all, much like the National League, a very fine year so far pitching-wise. McDowell in innings pitched. Games pitched, games started. Complete games, several pitchers have 2. 6 to be exact. Larry Sherry and Jack Acker leading in saves with 4 apiece. McMahon, Locker, and Lines rounding out the list. Several pitchers have 1 shutout. Strikeouts, it's McDowell, way ahead of the pack at 44. Steve Barber with 31 is second. Pete Rickert, Earl Wilson, and Mickey Lolich rounding out the top 5. Strikeouts to walks, Fritz Peterson 7-1, Wally Bunker 6-1, and so on. So hopefully you've enjoyed the stats update. I enjoy bringing it to you. That's about it for me on a rather slightly hungover Sunday. Join me at 1 o'clock for the ball game. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, I truly appreciate it. Have a great Sunday.